Hey guys, how's it going? This is Wilt from RWBY Nation, and this is the RWBY Nation Podcast, Volume 4, Chapter 7, Punished. And today I am joined by Admin's son,
Yo yo.
Mercury,
Hi.
Qrow,
Howdy, howdy.
and Melodic Cudgel.
Greetings and salutations once more.
Alright guys, today we've got a pretty good episode. It was the continuation from where we got left off last week, or actually 2 weeks ago, as we were left with the World of Remnant last week. But this was sort of the wrap up to that episode with where we got left off with Tyrian fighting Ranger, and then Qrow coming in and saving the day. But with this episode, I want to get everyone's introduction thoughts on this episode as a whole and what they thought. And I'm going to start with Melodic Cudgel on this one.
It is about freaking time someone interrupts a monologue or trash talk moment. Bravo, Tyrian. Bravo.
Alright, and Qrow?
Glad to see that we saw a little bit more of Weiss, and hopefully Gang will be soon to follow.
Absolutely. Mercury?
Whitley's gonna die. And he's gonna die hard.
I feel like that... I know I definitely feel the same. And what about you, son?
Apparently, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for this, I cannot believe how many people were correct in their feelings about Whitley. I literally sat there throughout most of the comments and I was like, guys, come on, give him a chance. And then just confirm that he's just a...
I can't wait for the character status chart to come out, because he always kept saying, why do you guys all hate Whitley? And now with this, he has to change the full
With
chart.
this one in store, now we know for a fact that Whitley's a... I mean, what? Who said that?
Uh-huh. But for sure, we got Whitley's, I guess, turn of personality, which a lot of people expected. Sounds like me and Merc were some of those people. But going right into the beginning of the episode, we open up with Oscar sitting in his bed, and he is being called down to dinner by his mother, and Ozpin is talking to him through his head, and we get to learn a little bit of information about the whole deal with that. And so I want to get everyone's thoughts on what they thought when they found this information out, like, because this basically tells us that, like, hey, Ozpin physically may not be around anymore.
Well, one thing, the wiki site actually says that that's his aunt, not his mother.
Okay.
I kind of feel bad for Oscar because, he's kind of stuck with this whole situation, and from the sounds of it, with what Ozpin said about going through the same panic and confusion, this is an ongoing thing that Ozpin himself went through some 80 or 100 years earlier, and that someone else went through before him, and on down the line.
I'd hope
He
Ozpin's
does have
not
a feeling.
80.
I'd be thoroughly impressed, honestly. And also very confused, but,
Yeah. I mean, he gets around pretty good if he was 80.
He looks very, he looks good,
Yeah.
for a 80-year-old man.
A lot of skin
that is the case.
moisturizer.
Remember, kids, make sure you moisturize. Very important.
Hydrate or die, kids.
Don't forget that they said that around 80 years ago, during the Great War, they started the naming convention, and Ozpin's name was not part of that.
That's true. But I feel like that may have been done later on, not like directly right after the Great War ended. I think like it was sort of a perpetual thing down the road because of that. But going back with Oscar, we get him talking to Ozpin, and he's basically trying to ignore Ozpin altogether. And what that's doing is he's basically losing control of his own thoughts, it seems, but Ozpin is trying to comfort him in that it's not as bad as he thinks, and that he has a duty to uphold, and Oscar's not really quite ready to do that. And so I'm curious, how soon do you think Oscar may take up the responsibility that he's been given?
I think one thing that's pretty interesting is the fact that you have, number one, Oscar is almost just pretty much straight up forced into this role. Mm-hmm. And at least me personally, if some dude somehow randomly came into my head and was like, hey dude, by the way, you're gonna have to do all these kick stuff, and you're like, crap. I mean, no, I don't want it. I just want to, but the seams of it, basically short version, I think it's interesting, and I think it's extremely relatable how Oscar's reacting to this, because I don't think that there would be a lot of, actually, I mean, maybe thrill seekers out there, but who would be like, hey, by the way, there's a dude in your head. He's telling you that you were destined for greatness.
It's kind of like the Harry Potter thing.
Pretty much, yeah.
Actually,
you're a hunter, Oscar. I'm a what?
I'm just Oscar. Well, just Oscar.
TV Tropes calls it refusing the call. And bad things always happen when you refuse the call.
Speaking of, I'm gonna remind me later on with that one, Cudgel, about tropes, because there's something else that I'm gonna talk about later.
All right.
So you think his aunt's gonna die or something like that, and that's gonna be like, oh crap, now I actually have to adult and accept that the voice in my head isn't just a voice in my head.
I think one thing in particular, if we're okay, so that's not actually what I was going to talk about.
Yes. Now, aren't we?
Well, based on what Osmond said about this, he has experienced this in the past. I'm curious, like, do the voices eventually just go away, or does, like, only the most recent one sort of possess this, or I guess transfer into this new host? Because, like, Ozpin doesn't seem like the person who knows how many voices in his head, which he could, but if he's talking directly to Oscar through that, you would think there would be more than just Ozpin.
Or maybe he accepted the voices earlier, and then when that happens, they stop talking to him.
Okay.
Or it's like the Avatar, and he can start going back to his old past lives and seeing like, what did you do, or how can I learn from you? That's kind of a dumb.
Okay, I can understand that. I could definitely see that.
I think it's. I think Qrow. I'm going with. I'll go with what Qrow was saying. I think it's kind of interesting that eventually. I honestly do believe that Oscar is going to have that sort of like everybody, all the knowledge of everybody that's happened, that's been in his position before. Mm-hmm. Which also, I have yet to do this on podcast. I am actively admitting that I was incorrect in my assumption that Oscar, originally when Oscar was first introduced, there was like 6 of us that believed that Oscar was actually a girl and that Oscar was going to be a maiden. So actively admitting I was wrong.
I legit couldn't tell when he first debuted.
Well, it was like the arc, which is one thing that we mentioned, was the way that it was. Like his character model looked, there was bumps where his suspenders were, so most of us were like boobs.
Well, you and Nora.
Hey, there was a lot more in that podcast specifically that said that it was like that.
I'm pretty sure I was on the other side of that.
Sir.
But anyways, that's really all we got off of in the starting of this episode with Oscar's story. It seems Ozpin may give him a little bit more freedom and give him some time to think about what he's told him. And odds are now going to start seeing a lot more of Oscar, since he is going to play such a important role, taking up the role of Ozpin, I'm assuming. But then we get to transition right into where we left off with Weiss's story from the previous episode, where she is in her bedroom with her father Jacques, and I have a feeling some of us have some very unkind words to say to Jacques right now.
What
on the day of this recording, I literally made a post. It's just the picture specifically of the angle, the one screenshot of just Weiss looking off, like after she just got backhanded. Mm-hmm. Literally just, you see her face in the mirror, And like the caption that I put is like the moment that everybody's heart sank for Weiss.
Cough, cough, Lee. Cough, cough.
He was probably off in the corner like, that was good form, Dad. Good form.
Yeah.
I've been planning her demise since the beginning.
This.
My plan is coming together.
Good. Good. Do it. Do it now.
Let the snee flow through you.
Just like, yes, yes.
Oh gosh.
What
It's
have
a
we done?
shame, though. It's like,
Because of that, I sort of want to see like Jacques and some Emperor Palpatine get up and like
Can we get
little
some-
Whitley and some Darth Vader stuff.
Can we get some fan art of
fanart,
that?
you have your job.
Well, let's all
But-
be real. That was so freaking sad when that
Oh,
that scene
absolutely. It wasn't just sad. Like it legitimately like made me like I think I was the first I saw the episode, I was sitting in my room and just relaxing a little bit, and then I was just decided, I'm gonna turn on the episode. I'm wanting to see the fight that I knew was coming, and I wasn't expecting the stuff with Weiss, and so I wasn't prepared for it. And then when it happened, I was just like, oh hell no. And my mood shifted
slapped my
so
waifu.
fast.
Hold me back.
What's
Triggered.
like
I
Weiss?
was triggered.
Weiss
My
has never
biggest
been a
thing was
super
legit.
important character for me. Like, I've never, I guess, been as connected with Weiss as a lot of other people. But, like, this legitimately made me feel a lot more for Weiss than I have before. Solely for the fact of I want her to destroy everything Jacques cares about.
I think it was kind of
That stupid
interesting when
giant
literally
statue in the
it
living
just, literally the episode, the second that I saw that, which is the reason why I got that screenshot, I immediately paused it. I was in an alternate Skype call, the other RWBY Nation Skype call, and all you just heard was me go like, "What the?" And everybody else in this call was like, "You watched the episode?" I was like, "Oh my god, what the? I can't believe he did that!"
I see we're gonna have a bunch of Nevermores today.
That's
That's
always
just
the
last
case
one.
with Sun. I just have to have it on ready to go.
I don't have a good
Hey, not
reason
as
to
bad as
swear
last
just
one.
yet, so I can't say anything worthy of Nevermore's censoring.
I'm
Still not
curious,
as bad as the last one.
how does Jax thinks that he can cow Weiss into submission? You know, it's like, was he
Probably
what-
did it to his wife, and that's why he thinks he can do it to her.
Probably. And I think
And also
he
because Winter
definitely
escaped.
tried to do it because he tried to do it with Winter, and she just was not going to have it. She got out of there as soon as she could, as soon as she
I'm
found
gonna
the
go with
opportunity.
Robo Daddy.
Oh my god.
Oh, God.
He better come back in with his belt for this next episode. Just waltzes right inside with the belt.
I'm actually,
Snaps it.
that makes me think of something in particular. Was the conversation that we saw a couple episodes ago, or actually it might have been like I want to say episode 2 or 3.
That
When you
was,
see
episode-
when Weiss walks in on the conversation between Ironwood and Chalk?
that was 2.
That was 2.
Weiss should have listened to Ironwood and gone to his academy. He offered her a way out.
I think it was kind of interesting in particular just because how that happened. You know, like I think maybe this is gonna sound weird, but maybe they were discussing Weiss's future. Just saying.
It's possible, but we don't have enough insight to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
The
Just,
magical word of foreshadowing.
I do think
Yeah.
Ironwood is going to be most likely the catalyst for Weiss's escape from Atlas.
yeah.
It's
I
because
noticed-
who else is up there at the moment?
I think that she's actually not going to go to Atlas Academy. I think she's going to escape into Mantle, and that's where season 5 will start up with Weiss in Mantle.
Wait, did we confirm that we're like a couple episodes out from the ending, or from season ending?
5.
I think we are. Yeah, we should be five more.
We got
Episodes.
5 more to go.
I think they said
Unless they
12.
plan to extend it, which we don't know.
I'm curious to know if they're gonna leave it off as it is, or if they're gonna like bring it nice and back on everybody on the same road.
I don't know, because I feel like this, if the first 3, I guess, volumes were considered an arc for the series, then odds are the only logical thing to do would have the next 3 volumes be this next arc, whatever it's considered. Maybe depending on how long the Salem story goes, maybe it's the Salem arc, or the the split apart arc. Who knows what? But it would be interesting to see them all come back together that soon. I do think at least maybe we'll get maybe a 2-and-2 pair up. Maybe not all four just yet, but maybe Yang and Blake, odds are, might meet up because they're both dealing with a Faunus threat, whereas Weiss, as soon as she escapes from Atlas, may join RWBY in her fight against the Grimm and figuring out what they're going to do about Haven, because that seems to be Salem's next target. So those two might go after Salem specifically, whereas Yang and Blake may go after the Faunus threat with the White Fang, and then we may get to see them pair up again later on. But finishing off Weiss stuff, we get to where she's confronting Whitley about his involvement in this whole scheme of his, and we see the dramatic turn of where he's like, "Oh, I'm just the good, spoiled little boy who does nothing wrong," to, "Oh, I absolutely planned this, and you're in trouble now, but don't worry, I promise I won't mess everything up," which is an absolute lie. And I'm curious, when you saw mostly the picture, or the face shift of when he just got up in Weiss's face and just had that angry look on his face, I'm curious what your reactions were at that time.
You got it wrong. It's not pronounced Whitley. It's pronounced Whitley from now on.
Okay.
And I demand it to be as such.
I had to stop myself from punching my screen.
Oh,
I was just taken back.
My nice fancy computer monitor. It's okay, baby. I won't hurt you. It's okay.
I felt sad. It's like, why did he have to be shown to be a tool just yet? It's a wasted opportunity. He showed his hand way too soon.
Yeah, he apparently showed his hand across the
get...
backside of Weiss's face.
No, that was Jack's.
Oh, sorry.
It suits both of them.
Sorry,
anyway.
I got triggered. I'm sorry.
This whole Weiss episode part has got me triggered, and probably Yatsu as well.
Yeah, you and Yatsu both are the heavy Weiss
Yatsu,
fans, and
who is Weiss? Oh my god. I can only imagine how he's feeling.
Oh gosh.
I actually should message him and find out.
But we did finish off Weiss's story with Whitley and doing that. Well, not actually quite. The finish to Weiss's part of this episode was we see her go back into her bedroom, and she's shifting everything around, and she pulls out a pink box which has Merknaster in it. And she seems to be maybe turning her bedroom into some kind of place where she can train, possibly, or she's just moved all that around to get to her equipment. I'm not for sure just yet, because in the intro sequence we do see her training, so this may be the lead up into that, and it'll be interesting to see where that goes. But that's basically the last moment that we see Weiss in the episode, and I'm curious just what you guys think we're gonna see with Weiss next.
Well, first of all, I hated the crying scene. It felt faked. But my real thought's this. It's been 6 to 8 months after the fall of Beacon. What the heck has she been doing this entire time? How much have her skills atrophied? Did she really think she could go out into the world as a huntress without more professional training or the like? I hate to say it, but in some ways, Jax was right. She is not ready yet to go out.
He's not making her ready to go out. He wants her trapped.
Yeah.
Oh, of course he wants her trapped. I'm saying that she is not ready to go out.
If anything, though, this whole situation provides her an opportunity to train and prep herself to escape, and then eventually when she does escape, does become ready to go out because of what she needs to do to escape, which, if we look on the opening and her training in regards to her summonings, which is most likely why she made so much space to begin with, because, I mean, if...
Now she can do it.
Yeah, and usually if, not... Is RWBY technically considered an anime?
Yes. It's
okay.
an American
I
anime.
would say so.
Then if anything, when it comes to animes and their openings, usually has some kind of spoiler, if you will, if you want to put it that way. So, it maybe like we definitely know she's going to train, and maybe the reason why she's going to train with her summoning specifically is maybe whatever she is able to conjure as far as her summonings, which I would assume would be the giant knight thing that's only revealed its arm so far, besides its
Please come
entire
back.
self.
I need it. I
Either.
need it.
Like, I really wonder if that's what she's gonna like use to escape, or at least that's gonna be something that she's gonna discover while she's trying to escape, is, you know, being able to fully utilize the suit of armor that we so far have only seen a hand for. I mean, it's a pretty dire situation that she's in, and I mean, who knows? It's just there's a lot of potential for that, if you will.
I can see that happening because it's her. Sorry for extending this topic more, Wilt. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
But, like, basically, we can assume from Mirror Mirror during the trailer that the night was her royal test. What better way to make her escape and leave the mansion by summoning that back and then just, like, showing it off in front of her dad, beating the crap out of him, and then proceeding to walk out? It would make a lot of... I think that'd be a good way for her to, like, finally break out, but we can't tell for sure.
By the way, what do you think of the theory that he hired the White Fang to kill people in the company so his hold on the company's furthered?
I would not be surprised.
At this point, with as terms of the Schneidus company, nothing would surprise me with Jacques.
I still think he looks like a Monopoly man.
He looks like
It's because he does.
he's just a douchier Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I thought he looks more like Colonel Sanders than anybody.
And while we're on that, who the hell decided to spell it like that? That is not how you spell Colonel based on how it sounds.
Oh no.
I'm sorry. Anyway, I got distracted.
Well,
As
You're
I
always
do.
distracted.
It's probably a New Englander term.
What was it? That and then baloney? Those are two words that I don't
No.
like.
I'm pretty sure Colonel, like, it's probably UK's fault, if anything.
Oh sure, blame the British.
I'm gonna blame the British.
Why do you think we broke away?
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry,
Well,
I got us distracted.
Massacre
Continue.
Lives Matter.
Going from Weiss's part of the story, we jump right back into where we were left off with the last episode, and Qrow is facing off with Tyrian now, and they have a little bit of cheeky dialogue right at the start. And I'm actually going to do something a little bit different with this episode of the podcast, is I'm going to play a small slideshow of the entire fight as we talk about it, and so you guys can see some of the main parts of the fight as well, because this has got to be one of my favorite fights in the series so far. Very close to the Pyrrha Cinder fight and the I really like the lunchroom fight, but this fight was so different in that we're seeing two basically full-on huntsmen fight for the first time.
Second, Winter and Crow's fight.
That's a good point. Yeah. Okay, so second, but these are two people who are pretty much at the top of
At
their
that same
game.
power.
It feels like.
I mean, the only difference I would say between the Winter Crow fight versus Qrow Tyrian would be the fact that, at least for me, at least in my mind, Winter versus Qrow was more of a I'm better than you kind of a fight versus, like, I guess the best way to describe it was that it would be kind of like a rivalry sort of a thing.
Mhm.
It's not like I don't know, like I guess
More
the biggest thing
meaningful
about it would be animosity, that like
I-
I hate you.
Yeah, and
This might have more
after
meaning than Winter's.
after seeing Qrow's skills and abilities through this fight, we get to see that he really was basically just playing with Winter. It felt like, because he felt like on a whole different level after this episode. He was doing so many moves just with his base form of his sword, and it was so fluent and so quick, both of them were, that it felt like something you would see in like Dragon Ball Z or something, where it was just over the top. But that's these guys' just skill of how they've either been doing it so long or just that good at what they do, and which is what made this fight seem very powerful in my eyes, because it definitely provided some tension along with it.
I
Yeah,
agree.
that basically covers it all.
Well, there were some very interesting points in this fight as well. We got to see Tyrian basically almost enjoying the fight, because he never really seemed like the type of person who would back down no matter the enemy, and this fight definitely proved that, because there were times where he was getting beaten up pretty badly, and even to the point down where this has got to be my favorite
The one two hook.
scene of the volume so far, is Qrow just flat out punching Tyrian.
Getting Dex
was-
square in the face. Give him the old one too.
It's
Fusion
I
hunters
have
need their
What's
weapons.
even better is RWBY wings his forehead with a bullet, and he's like, looks like, and then he's using his tail to swap bullets. You're like, this is so much fun. And Crow's like, bleep this.
Yeah, pretty much. But
Screw my
Crow's
sword, I'll
facial
punch you in the face.
expressions throughout the entire time just show me like why Qrow is always going to be one of my favorite like non-Team RWBY characters. And it's because he's so smug through the whole fight, and it's fantastic.
This is
It's
basically
It's because
the-
he's like the epitome of badass, and he knows it.
Yeah.
You mess
This
up.
is, guys,
mess
this
with
is how
family, man.
Qrow was throughout the whole fight. I don't give a shit. 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 If I gave a shit, I may just give a shit, but I don't give a shit.
So I don't give a
I
wait.
hope
What the?
you're taking notes, because if you did half the things with your tail that Tyrion was doing with his, you'd be quite deadly in a fight.
Absolutely. And speaking of Tyrion, we get the next little, not really a reveal, but sort of a little fun thing, because everyone's sort of in on the joke at this point, where it's also a gun. And just out of nowhere, I mean, we probably could have seen it had we paid closer attention to his weapons previously, but
Nope.
we got the close-up version of this. Like, he pulls out wrist guns and is just firing wildly at Qrow, but Crow's blocking it like, really? You're trying this? And it was just a fun moment for me. It didn't really provide anything super important to Tyrion as a character, but it was just funny to sort of have that confirmed for another weapon to also be a gun.
How the heck
He was
does
buying
he
into the
have
peer
ammo
pressure.
for that thing?
Who knows?
I swear, it's a cultural peer pressuring in their society where every weapon has to be a gun. They can fight back and get this against peer pressuring. It's bullying if they have to have their weapon be a gun.
You see
Well,
that
John's the
pillow you're
only
resting
one
your head
standing
on?
up.
It's also a gun. You see that bed you're sleeping on? It's also a gun.
There
You see
are
that fork
two
you're using?
weapons,
It's also
though.
a gun.
There are two weapons that I can think of that are not a gun, though.
Okay.
John's.
Ozpin's
And-
cane.
And John.
Well, actually, and John, so
It could
three.
be.
So
Osmond's cane could be a gun for all we know.
well,
Yep.
Glinda's staff,
Yeah.
and Jean's sword.
Okay, that one's a little bit cheap though.
Well, hold on.
Specifically because
does it-
Glinda can literally
Well,
fire
her-
at anything she
her whip.
wants.
Yeah,
I know,
yeah,
but that's not really
yeah,
a
but that's a
gun,
magic
though.
Does it
projectile,
count
not
if it
bullets.
shoots
It's not a gun.
magical
It's
tracking
just sword,
bullets?
it's not a gun.
It doesn't shoot bullets, therefore I wouldn't classify it as
Yeah.
a gun.
But it shoots
So-
magical bullets.
But it's
That's not the same
shooting
as an
them.
actual goat. It doesn't have a magazine.
An
There's
actual
no
goat?
trigger.
Did you say
There's no.
goat?
Yes, it can fire goats.
Goat
Give me the
Simulator
goat
RWBY
gun.
edition.
Give me the goat gun.
But Glinda's staff does not have a magazine, does not have a trigger, does not have a firing pin. It doesn't have any firing system except for her own magical energy. Therefore, it is not a gun. Osmond's cane, it probably hasn't had a proper reveal. It's also probably a gun. Moving on. And
Well, we
John's
haven't
sword is
seen what the
obviously not a
lever
gun.
on his cane does, so yeah, I guess.
Osmond's cane is probably a gun. Let's just admit it.
It's got
Let's
the
just accept
gears
it.
like Crow's weapon, so who knows?
Let's just accept the fact it's probably a gun like
Wait, hold on a
everything else.
second. What about, wait, did Qrow? Is Crow's?
Crow's- Yeah,
Yes.
I can
Yeah,
shoot.
Crow's is a gun.
Yeah,
It's a
he
shotgun.
shot at Winter before.
Right,
with
right,
it,
right.
so.
And he
Sorry,
used
I'm
it like
still
for
the
a second in this fight as well.
Yeah,
It was-
to accelerate himself.
Well, no, it was when they were running around in a circle, right after Tyrian basically was shooting his guns for the first time. Qrow shoots back a couple shots, and I think that is when Tyrian grabs his arm with his tail.
I thought he used the... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, and that's when we see, like, just his weapon get ripped away, but it was... He only shot... Qrow only shot his gun maybe, like, once in the entire fight, and it was very easy to miss.
I thought it was when his sword was stuck in the wall, and then Tyrian attacked, and that's when the blade started to recline into the scythe form. That's when I thought he shot it.
Yeah.
Because then he flies up to the roof.
That is also possible if he had used it at that point as well. But that actually brings up a good point of how basically Qrow didn't even use the scythe that much other than just to get himself unstuck from that spot. And we've seen just how powerful Qrow can be with that scythe. So I'm curious if you guys have any thoughts on why he might not have used it.
Because it's not as fast as the sword. He needed more speed instead of power.
Okay. Would you guys agree with that?
He saves it only for the most dramatic moments. And this clearly wasn't one of them. Because think about it, he only used it once last volume, and that was when he did the whole epic, looks like I'm killing Ironwood, but I'm really not moment. So he's clearly saving it for the most dramatic moment possible. Just to give all of us fangasms.
I absolutely love the slow walk to the sword.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
Was so insulting. This was basically, I make my intimidation check. You're going to cower for a couple of rounds while I walk to my sword.
Mm-hmm. And that's sort of funny because it goes back to like how I was talking about Qrow basically just being smug the whole time, and it's so great. But going back to the fight with Tyrian, we get to where Qrow's stuck up in the wall and he flips up, and we get to see his skills in knowing like around his environment. He sees the broken wood, he knows his enemy is going to try and go for it. So he immediately rushes over there and expects what happens. And even as he's being dragged down into the hole, he still has that smirk on his face. And it's so cool to see a character like this. Just he almost seems like he knows how powerful he is compared to his enemy. And I don't know if it's as much of a like he thinks he's more powerful than he really is and he just has that amount of confidence, or if he really is that powerful and he knows it. And so I'm curious to see like where this is going to go in the future. But we get to see a lot of really cool stuff from both sides. We get to see more of the aura being affected during the fight as they are coming out of the building. And then RWBY does a little bit of something that Qrow is not too happy with. She intervenes, basically saying this is her fight too and everything else. And at that moment, I want to know what you guys were thinking, because I know what I was thinking, and I want to see if I'm not the only one.
Why?
RWBY!
Why do you
You
have
had
to...
one job.
Why do you have to do the typical... Just the response of like, no, even though he told me not to interfere and all that, and this is clearly a fight above my league, I'm gonna interfere anyways because reasons. And even though it's probably gonna cause the downfall of one of the characters or something's gonna go wrong because of it, I'm still gonna do it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
You mean the classic trope of the intervening?
Yep. At least she chopped off his damn tail.
Yeah, after it was too late.
Yeah, it's a bit late, and that actually brings up a good point in what I basically thought of when I saw RWBY intervene, and we talked about this just a little bit last podcast with Dishwasher's art. I was scared. I was so scared. As soon as like I saw her rush in, I'm like, RWBY, what are you doing? I swear if you get Qrow killed, I'm going to be pissed.
What do you know?
That was one thing that actually admin RWBY and I were discussing one day. We were sitting there, we're like, it's kind of interesting since we've been discussing consistent tropes. Like, I wonder if Qrow is slated to be the like mentor who tries to come in and save the moment or save them at the last minute, and then ends up dying in the process. Like, I'm very curious to know if that's going to be the case. I personally really hope that, you know, Qrow doesn't die, but if we're sticking with the consistent tropes, I'm sorry to say, I think Qrow might be on his way out.
No.
I really hope
You want
not. At
Qrow?
least not right now.
Dead club.
Here's the trope. Ruby Jenkins.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
I think the thing in particular about it would be, okay, I'm gonna say this. I hope that this becomes part of the bloopers. Could you imagine if if all of a sudden like Qrow's getting stabbed or something of that nature, like he's on the bed like dying, and all you just hear is him look over at Ruby and be like, "Don't worry, I'll tell Pyrrha you said hey," or something like that.
Oh!
Or even just looking over at Jean like, "Don't worry,
Son,
kid, I'll tell her you love her."
The thing I'm concerned about is how you
God.
said you hear him look over.
Yeah.
How can you hear him look over?
Because he's ruffling.
You
in the bed.
look at him to see him look over. You don't hear him look over.
I mean,
That's not
what
right.
if the hospital bed is like very uncomfortable and you just hear like a squeaks? You know, you just hear the squeaks going over, man. Come on, cut me some slack here.
Well,
That's assuming they find a hospital. Everyone's been dead in the last few towns they've been going through. Even if they went back to the one in the beginning, they're all probably dead now too.
Actually, they will probably end up having John say, "I know where we can go," and he brings him. And the end of episode 12 will be John leading Ranger to his parents' place.
okay.
Assuming their
interesting.
stuff there isn't wrapped up yet.
Well, we'll see. But going into the final parts of the episode, we are left with Qrow having to save Ruby once again from a falling piece of wood. And he successfully does so. They have their little confrontation again where it's like, "You saved me, thank you, smile," and
Thank you.
pretty much.
Literally.
Listen to me this time.
Qrow gets hit by Tyrion's tail, and by the looks of it, Tyrion was in his purple-eyed state, which the only thing we can assume that relates to right now is he's basically poisonous. And we in the fight with Ruby doing a final slash on Tyrion's tail, chopping it clean off, and we get a little bit more into the fact of Ruby is no longer the kids show that everyone thought Volume 1 and Volume 2 showed it to be, which, I mean, the writers and Rooster Teeth and everything have said multiple times, this is not a kids show. This is meant for all types of audiences, older included. And this, I think, really showed that, because Tyrion lets out one big ol' "you" right afterwards, and like, some people, they have a problem with that, but honestly, when you get a limb cut off, a legitimate limb, and you're sitting there, and it's just like, you lost. That would be like if Yang was conscious. Oh, I bet she would have had some words to say when it happened to her.
Literally just looking at him in like that one scene from Elf, since we're still dealing with the holidays. Literally just like he gets it cut off and just turns over to her, "You cotton-headed ninny muggins."
But
Okay, I just have to share this one little bit of insight that I just found on a Tumblr. And it is, did you know that scorpions poop from the tail and can die from not pooping if they lose the top part of their tail?
what the heck?
So,
God.
You can't die because you can't give it.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, Merc, what the hell? Well, that's
Am
gonna
I
be
wrong?
bad. I mean,
Why?
technically, no.
He deserves it at this point.
That moment when the entire... Okay, so if we ever end up getting a Tyrion admin, I'm going to laugh if it's literally just like, "Oh yeah, he probably doesn't give..." They're like, "Shut up, that joke is really old." Just consistently that, or make it even like it would be like on the same level as the frickin' Yang arm jokes. It's like, yeah, we get it.
Oh
It
sure,
happened.
don't mention my legs. They don't matter either.
Well, apparently not according to you. They didn't when you murdered your father. I mean, what?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, who said that? I agree.
I mean, let's be honest, guys. He's just being dead weight at this point, you know.
Oh,
That actually brings up an interesting thing that I saw was an artwork of I think it was one of the fans who submitted it or something like that. I can't remember where I saw it, but basically it was a whole thing of what do we think is going to happen to Tyrian now that he's kind of just
was it the one where he's like with Salem?
Is
Yep.
it a dishwasher?
That was
It might be.
dishwasher, and you know why?
Dishwasher?
Because I have it pulled up, and the fans are seeing it right this second. Because it seems
just that interesting
has
thing.
Dishwasher has had a trend of trying to predict things, and last week we showed the image of Qrow being pierced with Tyrion's tail, and this week it's just as disturbing with Salem basically grabbing Tyrion's face, and it's just like, I will fix you.
Oh,
Wait,
kind
wait.
of look,
If
and
we're on
it's
about dishwasher
terrifying.
making,
fell off.
wait,
Rip
Will,
is
I'm putting a picture in our chat. Another dishwasher prediction,
All right, now I gotta open
and
this
please
up.
bring it up so the other fans can see it. Because if we're making dishwasher predictions, I am using this.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no!
Well, bring it up. Pull it up for them.
It's up. It's up.
Oh, that hurts the boys.
Oh gosh.
I guess he
The
doesn't
moment
have
when
any
the
more
podcast-
fans now, huh?
The moment when the entirety of the podcast is all male. Oh.
Okay.
Guys,
I'm
Guys,
done
I
looking
can't
at that
feel the
now.
balls.
So guys,
Oh gosh.
I guess you can say the Schneid Dust Company lost a few family jewels, hey?
Oh, no, you
Eh?
did not. No, you did not.
Yang would be
God dang it, Bart.
I guess the entire. I can't even make a joke because my balls hurt.
My balls falling.
Oh my
Think about
god!
this. Think about it with this
Bad
picture, though.
Is it
Their
weird?
blood,
Okay,
the male bloodline for the Shi family is now dead. Think of it that way. If that happens,
Oh.
they can't be any more little fleas running around anymore.
Also, notice the second panel in the top right there. You just see she clicks, so she is shooting, like actively shooting.
Oh.
the sword does not.
Why are we like analyzing this? Please.
Because
Let's keep at it. Don't forget
that's
this
his
swoosh.
balls.
This swoosh.
That's great.
I don't know if I want to keep analyzing it, so
Keep analyzing it.
because we are coming up
Oh
on.
wait, son, the top frame,
Oh,
the top
gosh.
frame. Her dad is watching.
Oh
But he's
gosh.
next.
That's
But
my
you guys
boy.
think that giggles can do alternating types of venom? Was Qrow been hit by an anticoagulant?
I have
Oh,
no
wait,
idea.
but we're getting off the balls. Okay, yeah.
I
Focus.
think we need to get off the balls.
Focus. Serious stuff.
I'm guessing paralysis venom is what it's gonna be.
Based on the fact that, like, the best thing I can relate to it is I don't think it was deadly because he had planned to hit Ruby with it, and his goal was to bring her back to Salem, and I would hope that he wouldn't plan on bringing her dead corpse.
Unless he can do
So-
more type of venom.
It's possible. I feel like if it were that case though, it wouldn't be the exact same color as his eyes, because everything seems to always have a different color to it in this show, it feels like. But it absolutely could be. And if that's the case, then I'll be sad. I will want Tyrion to die in a raging fire. But I'll deal with that when I get to it. But for now, I want to
I'll
get
cross
everyone's
those fields when I get there.
yeah, pretty much. But as we are coming up on a pretty lengthy podcast for this episode, I want to get everyone's final thoughts on things, how the episode has gone so far, well, just overall, well, the series as a whole, as well as what you guys might think we're going to see in the next episode, whether it's maybe a Yang episode, maybe a Blake episode, what you think we're going to see if it's not either one of those two. And for that, I'm going to start with Sun.
Oh, I get to start this time? Oh
Yep.
boy. Oh
Lucky
boy.
bastard.
Oh boy. All right, hang on a second. Sorry, my microphone's doing a thing where it adjusts itself again. Anyway, I'm making my usual prediction. I'm going to say this right now. Unfortunately, I think that if Qrow does not become paralyzed in some way, shape, or form, he will die. I hate to say this, but I feel like if we are following consistent tropes, I think Qrow is going to die. And it sucks.
Yeah.
Also, Whitley.
It's Whitley. Get it right.
Why would I even want to address him by an incorrect name if he's not even worth my time? I don't even want his name coming out of my mouth. Every time I hear it just leave my mouth, I die a little on the inside.
So we call him Ballless McGee?
So back onto that picture.
But before we get back onto that
Every time I
picture,
look, it makes me laugh.
oh gosh,
This is why we like being on podcasts together.
I'm not gonna be able to get that image out of my head for a while.
Oh, it still hurts me.
But Mercury, do you have anything you'd like to close up with?
Serious business.
Okay, so, I honestly have the feeling the next episode is going to continue on with Qrow and Ranger, because it'd be really weird to just, like, skipped off topic and went to Blake or Yang.
They've
Which
done it before.
they are going to bring back. They're going to get to them at some point, but with the cliffhanger they left, they would have to stay with Qrow and RWBY.
Mm-hmm.
And something I considered now, because Jacques has effectively removed Weiss as the heiress, which means she can now be her own person instead of what society believes her to be. And it also may have new repercussions with the White Fang, because she's no longer the heiress. She can explain to them in detail everything her dad did to them, and then may possibly change some of the opinions of the White Fang. That's very, very far off, but...
Yeah, I still feel like her and the White Fang are not the closest people, just based on what she's said in the past about what they did to her family and things like that. But
Sure.
that is a very good
Ask
thing to
them
bring up.
She asked them to kidnap her so she doesn't have to stay in the house anymore. Guys, can you kidnap me, please? Please.
Can we get that going, or?
I'm not sure how well that would go, but
Weiss
it'd be interesting.
Get me out of here.
Get the cat waifu to abduct her.
Yeah.
Cat Naruto.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well-
Wait, guys. All right, I have something to say, but I'm gonna save it to the very end when we're about to sign off.
All right.
Oh my god, again.
Qrow, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Well, as far as predicting or what's going to happen
Theories,
after this,
predictions,
Bro's
what you
gonna
thought
drink
so
himself
far.
to death.
yeah, the way that I'm going to overcome my poisoning is via alcoholism, because
Because feelings.
I'm going to drink the poison away, because it's not. It's
Someone
the first,
left you. Someone
like,
left
the
you.
The poison won't be in my system anymore. If I drink so much, I puke.
His blood's so thin that it just didn't affect him.
And I think the new nickname that Qrow should have is Not So Alcoholic Poisoning.
Oh my god.
Because I may change that to my name in chat, by the way.
Gosh.
It's all open from here on out.
Oh, great. Then I have to start monitoring everyone's nicknames again.
You know what?
You know
Nope,
how
nope,
annoying
I'm
that
doing
is?
it. I'm doing it right now. Where is
Don't
it?
you dare. Don't you dare.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Don't you do it.
I'm doing it.
Is it?
You
Can't make me do anything.
I'm popping over the chat just.
Melodic, I'm gonna turn it over to you for the last one.
Okay, predictions. First of all, since Tyrian has appeared in the middle rather than the end of the season, I'm going to say that the big finale fight is going to be against the one rim that Ren was talking about. Because we still need something really dramatic for them to be fighting, and having that be the big finale would make a bit of sense. I've also said that I believe the group will end up going to John's family at the end, and it could very well be fighting the big Grim is going to reopen Qrow's wounds or show that he has been holding back on just how badly he's been hurt. I disagree that we're going to have the next episode still be Qrow. I believe that we are going to go to Yang at this point and have probably a training montage. Probably go after that to the Adam and the White Fang, or maybe have Adam and the White Fang at the very end, where Adam will probably send Tweedledee and Tweedledum to recover Yang somehow.
Okay.
Oh my god, he actually did it.
Son of a... Qrow, I swear.
I'm sorry, Cudgel, we cut you off.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, this has definitely been an interesting podcast, and I can't wait to see what we're in store for next week with Chapter 8, I believe. I doubt they would throw another World of Remnant at us so soon. I mean, it's fully up to them at this point. They could do it, but I doubt it. I think they're going to wait at least maybe another episode or two. And then odds are they will save the last one for in between, like a big climactic moment, and make us wait another 2 weeks to figure out what happens, because they just love doing that.
Oh, I'm gonna have some issues.
We all have issues.
Actually, in that case, I'm going to predict that next week for the for the New Year's update, we're not gonna have an update because they skipped 1 week last year. Or
New Year's Chibi.
Last week's.
Here's Chibi.
Well,
But
we'll
Chibi
see
New
what
Year.
happens when it comes out. A Chibi New Year, I guess I would be a little happy with, but I'm too antsy about what's gonna happen with Qrow to wait that long right now. But we'll see. We'll get there when we get to it. But this has been Admin's Wilt, Sun.
Done.
Say something.
Done.
Say bye.
Done.
Oh, remember,
Stop
kids.
flirting with Blake.
I'm not, dude. Okay, she needs my help, and you know it. Okay, she doesn't know it yet either, but that's okay.
You keep
She
telling
needs
yourself that.
Mercury.
And furthermore, I will catch you
Evermore?
all in the next one. Make sure you guys follow the stream and other stuff. Plug it consistently. Okay, go.
Mercury.
Whitley's balls are bust.
And
I want them in a
Qrow.
jar.
Not so alcoholic poisoning.
And Melodic Cudgel.
All right, yeah, that sums it up right there.
Yep,
Yeah,
pretty much.
I'm more surprised I was able to.
Well,
You
this
watched
has
the
been
last podcast. I'm proud of you.
well, this has been the RWBY Nation podcast, and we'll see you guys next week.
Or will we? Dun dun dun.